topic, what I speak about, is one of the most vitally important issues of our age, and that is United Nations Agenda 21, Sustainable Development. And as I'll be talking about tomorrow, it is the inventory and control plan. Inventory and control of all land, all water, all minerals, all plants, all animals, all construction, all means of production, all food, all energy, all information, and all human beings in the world. And so many of us around the world think that, sustainable development, it just sounds so great. Isn't it about recycling and creative reuse and creating energy and food resources for everyone? And the answer is no. It really is not. It's about moving populations into city centers, concentrated city centers. And clearing them out of the rural areas.
Pilots directed almost 3,000 precision strikes last year. We're super proud of it. It allows you to separate the bad guys from the good. It's a big deal. But we have something much bigger. Your kids probably have one of these, right? Not quite. Hell of a pilot? No. That skill is all AI. It's flying itself. Its processor can react 100 times faster than a human. The stochastic motion is an anti-sniper feature. Just like any mobile device these days, it has cameras and sensors, and just like your phones and social media apps, it does facial recognition. Inside here is 3 grams of shape explosive. This is how it works. Did you see that? That little bang is enough to penetrate the skull and destroy the contents. They used to say guns don't kill people, people do. Well, people don't. They get emotional, disobey orders, aim high. Let's watch the weapons make the decisions. Now trust me, these were all bad guys. Now that is an airstrike of surgical precision. It's one of a range of products. Trained as a team, they can penetrate buildings, cars, trains, evade people, bullets, pretty much any countermeasure. They cannot be stopped. Now, I said this was big. Why? Because we are thinking big. Watch. A $25 million order now buys this. Enough to kill half a city. The bad half. Nuclear is obsolete. Take out your entire enemy, virtually risk-free. Just characterize him, release the swarm, and rest easy. These are available today. We have a distribution network taking orders from military, law enforcement, and specialist clients.
The nation is still recovering from yesterday's incident, which officials are describing as some kind of automated attack, which killed 11 U.S. senators at the Capitol building.
They flew in from everywhere and attacked just one side of the aisle. People were screaming.
You can see high windows, very small, precisely punctured to gain entry to the building.
What did you do for the victim?
I just did what I could for you. Things weren't even interested in me. They're just buzzing.
Government sources admit the intelligence community has no idea who perpetrated the attack, nor whether it was a state, group, or even a single individual.
So if we can't defend ourselves, then we strike back.
We are investing very heavily in classified defense projects.
We make it our deterrent,
like our nuclear deterrent. We stockpile in the millions, the billions.
At key facilities, the White House, the New York Stock Exchange, Wall Street.
Safe in their homes?
Well, we wish we had boots on the ground in every community in this country, but we don't. So our instructions, our suggestions are to stay in touch with your
Ollie, hi. Hi, Ollie, honey. How's Edinburgh today? How are all your studies going, huh?
Good. Great.
Oh, great. Hey, aren't we doing a video call today?
I'm kind of with people, so.
Oh, well, come on, Oliver, put her on.
Oh no, it's not like that.
Oh, well, listen, I see some photos here with somebody, and I can see lots of likes, and what's that all about? Oh, wait a minute here, on your mom.
On the spy stuff and the military.
What is this video right here? Oh.
No, I'm not going to click on it. It's human rights thing on oppression or whatever.
Honey, you're not going into politics, are you? I mean,
Okay, Mom. It's safe here, just like you said it would be.
Heavy traffic approaching the A720 this morning due to police.
Police are not saying this morning what prompted the alert.
Claim relaxing firearm legislation would be useless against the so-called slaughter bots.
Just to stay away from crowds. When indoors, keep windows covered with shutters.
Protect your family. Stay inside. Authorities are still struggling to make sense of an attack on university campuses worldwide, which targeted some students and not others. The search for a motive is apparently turning to...
Who would have done this?
Anyone.
Dumb weapons drop where you point them. Smart weapons consume data. When you can find your enemy using data, even by a hashtag, you can target an evil ideology right where it starts.
Millions of imperfect babies are born, destined for a life of struggle and hardship. But it is the rest of us who pay the ultimate cost. Billions of dollars that could be used to better society are instead wasted on the malformed. There must be a better way, and there is. Agenda 21.
Agenda 21 is coming.
They are trying their best to limit the people of the earth. What? Did you know that there was a policy in America? A policy to depopulate the third world? How does that affect Jamaica? How does that affect the Caribbean? Did you know that Henry Kissinger wrote the memo that became policy, and they said they were gonna use food as a weapon? And they sent that policy to the Department of Agriculture, to the Department of Defense, to the Department of CIA intelligence. So they're all in the world of the third world, setting the third world up for internal strife and revolution and death. Where does your food come from? Why does Jamaica owe billions of dollars for the importation of food? when you could grow it yourself. But they grow it 1,000 miles away, and they cannot pick it after it is ripe. They have to pick it before it's ripe. Then they ripen it with chemical processes, wax it, color it, and you eating it because it looks good in the supermarket. And now you're dying of all these different cancers. Talk to me. They are killing us off. AIDS is a biological weapon. Ebola is a biological weapon. I read recently, I don't know the truth, but it has been patented. If you can patent a virus, that means somebody made it. It ain't a natural thing. They have to depopulate the earth by 2 to 3 billion people. And you and I are in the crosshairs of the depopulation thrust of the policies of the American government. Where do your vaccines come from? If you're not getting them from Cuba, you need to look at them carefully. Please listen. You're vaccinating your children, but you don't know what's in the vial that they're putting in your children's arm. All of a sudden they're suffering from autism. Then they tell you, no, there's no connection between the vaccine and autism. Yeah, tell that to somebody else. See, this is the enemy. The same enemy that put smallpox in blankets to the Native Americans to kill them off. The same enemy that was involved in the Tuskegee experiment to fill black men with syphilis.
My name is Corey, and I'm from the United States. And my topic, what I speak about, is one of the most vitally important issues of our age, and that is United Nations Agenda 21, Sustainable Development.
Calls for, if we're going to create a world government, we can no longer use war as a mechanism to cause fear amongst populations and therefore allow us to control the behavior of populations through fear. We have to find an alternative. These globalists want to establish an international EPA-like organization that can control literally every action that every single human being on planet Earth takes. Lunacy. And they want to run the world this way. We have to stop them.
Has to heal. And I believe that it's up to us who have lived a good life to make sure that our children will have the opportunity to live good lives too. It has to heal. And I believe I have lived a good life. I have lived a good life.
I have lived a good life. So they want a one world government controlled by them, everybody being chipped, all your money in those chips, and they control the chips, and they control people, and you become a slave, you become a serf.
1931, quote, "There will be, in the next generation or so, a pharmacological method of making people love their servitude, and producing dictatorship without tears, so to speak, producing a kind of painless concentration camp for entire societies, so that people will in fact have their liberties taken away from them, but will rather enjoy it, because they will be distracted from any desire to rebel by propaganda or brainwashing enhanced by pharmacological methods. And this seems to be the final revolution." Zbigniew Brzezinski worked in the Carter administration, This passed recently. This is from Between Two Ages, America's Role in the Technocratic Era, 1970. The technocratic era involves the gradual appearance of more controlled society. Such a society would be dominated by an elite unrestrained by traditional values. Soon it will be possible to assert almost continuous surveillance over every citizen and maintain up-to-date, complete files containing even the most personal information about the citizen. These files will be subject to instantaneous retrieval by the authorities. Shortly, the public will be unable to reason or think for themselves. They will only be able to parrot the information they've been given on the previous night's news. It's the big news of Brensky. The chip is loaded with more than 5 billion transistors and boasts more than 250 million synapses or programmable logic points. This is how deep the technology goes. Ray Kurzweil, futurist. By the time we get to the 2040s, we'll be able to multiply human intelligence a billionfold. That will be a profound change that's singular in nature. Computers are going to keep getting smaller and smaller. Ultimately, they will go inside our bodies and brains and make us healthier, make us smarter. And by the 2030s, the non-biological portion of our intelligence will predominate. Ray Kurzweil. Healthcare Act. Obamacare in the 1,000 pages in the U.S. Healthcare Bill is a non-discussed, subtitle C.11, Section 2521, National Medical Device Registry, which states its purpose as provides the framework for making the United States the first nation in the world to require each and every one of its citizens to implant in them a radio frequency identification microchip for the purpose of controlling who is or who isn't allowed medical care in their country.
And he provides that no one will be able to buy or to sell except the one that has the mark, either the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him who has understanding calculate the number of the beast, for the number is that of a man, and his number is 666.
Anyone who takes the mark is immediately thrown in the lake of fire. There's no grace. There's no mercy. It's just, you got the mark, bam, you're in the lake of fire.
But guess what? The future is now. Not only does this technology already exist, but it's already being developed and implemented at a rapid and accelerated pace as the technological elite finally begin to bridge the gap between our digital and physical identities.
A system touted as a national security necessity is being used to build a database where the biometric identity of millions of Americans will be gathered and stored.
We're meeting with the president in order to formulate legislation that would require every person in the United States of America who is employed to carry a biometric identification card with them.
And